Hello everybody, and welcome to today's 5th grade informative writing lesson. Today we will be doing section 2, lesson number 27. My name is Jennifer Jones and I will be your teacher for today. I am so excited about today's lesson, boys and girls, because today we are going to begin writing the very first paragraph of our informative essay. So let's get started. Now we have spent the previous few lessons, lesson 25 and 26, learning how to plan for an informative essay. This is such an important skill because planning is where we take all of our thoughts and ideas and we organize them. We create a plan which is like a roadmap for our essay. Our plan organizes our thoughts and allows us to communicate them, to write them in a way that is easy to understand for our reader so that the information flows and makes sense. Without a good plan is like taking a trip without a map. You never know where you're going to end up and you're definitely going to get lost along the way. Now we learned that when we plan for an informative essay, we plan by using a ITC outline. The I stands for introduction, T stands for topics, and C stands for conclusion. There are 3 topics or T paragraphs in our informative essay. We call those T1, T2, and T3. For each of these big topics that we inform our reader about, we are also going to include 2 subtopics, which we call our A's and B's. These are details and examples that teach our reader even more information about the topic of that paragraph. Now, a couple of tips to keep in mind. Informative essays are text-based, which means what we write is about what we have read. It's not about our prior knowledge. It's not what we learned in a different grade level or we read last year in a library book. We're going to write about the text set that we have just read in order to write this essay. So everything on your ITC outline must come from the articles themselves. To make sure that we are going to write a text-based essay, and to help us when we get to those middle paragraphs, we are going to box and label the information in the passage set that pertains to what we have put on our plan. And we practiced that a lot in our previous lessons. So now that we have gotten comfortable with analyzing prompts and planning, it's time to jump into the writing part of our essay. Today we are going to learn just one way to write an introduction paragraph for an informative essay. Now the introduction paragraph is sometimes called the I paragraph. It's the very first paragraph of your whole essay, so it's really important. It is your chance to get your reader's attention, to make them interested in your essay, make them want to read it. And it's really important in this paragraph that we clearly express what the essay is going to be about, what the main topic of the essay is, and also what the 3 T's, what the topics are that we're going to discuss more in-depthly throughout the essay. So the introduction paragraph is super important. Now there are so many ways you can set up this paragraph. You could probably structure your introduction in 100 different ways. Today, we're just going to learn one simple, easy structure. Now throughout the school year, as we grow and mature as writers, we will learn lots of other ways to write the introduction. So today is not the only way you can write it. It's just the first way. It's a good place to begin. The key to a well-written introduction paragraph is to make sure you introduce the controlling idea of your essay and the topics that are going to be discussed in your middle paragraphs. This is the structure we are going to follow today when writing our I paragraph. We will have a hook, a 3-topic sentence, and a closing statement. Now, if this looks familiar to you, it's very similar to the structure we followed when writing an expository essay. So let's break down each part of the introduction paragraph and discuss it individually. The first part of an introduction paragraph is a hook, right? Now, what is a hook? Well, you may remember this from expository, or maybe this is the first time you've ever heard that word. Well, a writing hook is where you write a sentence that's super interesting and intriguing and exciting, and it makes your reader go, oh, ooh, what's this essay about? I can't wait to read the rest of it. It's almost like a little preview. Have you ever been watching TV and seen a commercial for like a new movie that was going to come out? And the commercial was so good, you were like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to see that movie. It looks amazing. Well, that's kind of the same thing you want to do in your hook. You want to get your reader's attention so that they go, oh my God, so interesting. I want to read the rest of the essay. We use the word hook to help you make a connection to a fishing hook. So like in fishing, you use a hook to catch a fish, right? Well, in writing, you're going to use a hook to catch a reader. There's lots of different ways you can write hooks, many, many ways. Just a couple of ways that we're going to learn and practice are you can write a question, a really interesting, intriguing question as a hook. You can make a strong statement where you say something that makes people kind of sit up and go, oh, wow, that's a very strong sentence, makes them intrigued. You could restate the prompt using your own words in an interesting way. You could tell a very short personal story, or you could set the scene as long as it directly connects to the topic that you're writing about. You could even, since we're writing a text-based essay, pull out a fact, statistic, or definition from the article that's really interesting and use that as your hook. So today we are going to practice writing introduction paragraphs. Now, as always, I will do some modeling for you. I'm going to walk you step by step through writing an introduction paragraph. I'll show you how to write each part. I'll show you how to think and brainstorm ideas. And then it'll be a chance for us to practice together. After that, you get a chance to write an introduction paragraph all on your own. Sound good? All right. So the first introduction we're going to write is going to be for the Brazil passage set and prompt that we planned for previously. So do you remember reading all about Brazil? I bet you do. We read about Brazil, we planned for the Brazil prompt, and now we're going to write the introduction paragraph. So a couple of different ways we could start the introduction paragraph, some different examples of hooks. So let's think. We're writing about Brazil. Our purpose is to inform our reader about the country of Brazil. How could we get our audience's attention? How could we interest them? Well, we could start with a question. So we could start our essay with, did you know that Brazil is very interesting? How much do you really know about Brazil? Did you know that Brazil is an enormous country? Maybe one of those questions would get our audience's attention. Or we could simply restate the prompt. We could say something like, Brazil is a fascinating place to see and explore. Or, Brazil is an amazing country. Maybe that would pique our readers' interest and make them curious about what else we were going to write about. A third option for our hook is to simply make a strong statement. We could say, the country of Brazil is enormous. Or, Brazil has a strong sense of culture and tradition. So those are just some of the countless ways we could begin our introduction paragraph. Now that we've done some brainstorming on hooks, let's practice. So here you see I have some blank line paper that I'm going to write my introduction paragraph for Brazil on, and I have 3 different color markers. Now, I'm going to write in color today, not just because I love different colors, but because writing in color will help you have a really strong visual of the structure of the introduction paragraph. I'm going to write each part of the introduction in its own color. So before I begin even writing, I am going to make something called a key. If you participated in the expository lessons, then you will know that we always provide a key when color coding. A key is just simply something that tells you what the different colors represent. So today, when I write my hook, I'm going to write it in red. So whenever you see red, you know it's a hook. Then I'm going to write my 3-topic sentence in blue. So this blue color represents the 3 topics. And I will write the very last sentence of my introduction paragraph, which is our closing statement, in green. So when you see my green sentence, you know that that is my closing statement. If you ever forget today what the colors represent, simply look down here at the key and it'll remind you. Okay, so let's get started. Here is the plan we previously completed for the Brazil prompt. Prompt said, write to inform your reader about Brazil. Okay, so we said Brazil is our controlling idea. That's what the whole essay is going to be focused on. We are going to write about the cities of Brazil, Carnival, and the costumes people in Brazil wear. So these are the main types of information that are going to be in our essay. Over here are our subtopics. Now, I want you, when we write our introduction paragraphs, to ignore these subtopics. Think of them as a secret, okay? We're going to keep our subtopics a secret until we write our middle paragraphs. It's like some juicy details that we're not going to give them at the very beginning. We're going to save those for the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and on my plan to make it really clear for you, I'm going to circle the information that goes in our introduction. Our controlling idea and our 3 big topics go in our introduction paragraph. The subtopics do not. So I'm going to cross those out. We will use them in the essay, but not in the introduction. We only use the information on the left-hand side of our plan in the introduction paragraph. Make sense? All right. So now that we've reviewed our plan, it is time to start writing. The first thing that we need is a hook. So we looked at lots of different examples of hooks together, right? Let's just pick one. I think I'm going to start with a question hook. So I'm going to go to the very top line. I'm going to do 2 finger spaces so I can clearly indent my paragraph. Whenever we begin a new paragraph, we want to make sure to indent. So 2 finger spaces, and I'm going to begin writing about here. So I'm going to say, did you know the people of Brazil have a strong sense of tradition and culture? Did you know that the people of Brazil have a strong sense of tradition and culture? Now, I'm hoping that sentence makes my reader go, no, I didn't. How interesting. Tell me more. So that was my hook, boys and girls. Now I'm going to move on to my 3-topic statement. So for my 3-topic statement, I will be writing the main controlling idea of my essay, which is Brazil, and then the 1, 2, 3 topics that I will discuss in my middle paragraphs. So my 3-topic sentence will sound something like this. Brazil has lots of cities an annual celebration called Carnival, and beautiful traditional costumes. So Brazil has lots of cities, an annual celebration called Carnival, and beautiful traditional costumes. So I have included my controlling idea, Brazil. Then I mentioned all 3 topics: cities, Carnival, and costumes. Cities, Carnival, costumes. Now, I want to point something out for you. I didn't just take my 3 topics and list them in a row with commas. If I had done that, it wouldn't have made sense. So I'm going to show you what I mean now. I'm going to show you something called a non-example, which means I'm going to show you what not to do. Sometimes all of us learn really well by seeing what not to do and what we should do. So I'm going to do my non-example in pencil. That way I can erase it at the end. We don't want to write our 3-topic sentence like this. Brazil has, and then just list our 3 topics: cities, Carnival, costumes. Brazil has cities, Carnival, and costumes. Now I'm going to reread this to you, and while I do, I want you to see if you can figure out why do we not want to do this. Brazil has cities, Carnival, and costumes. Why would we not want to write it like that? Well, did it sound right? Brazil has cities, Carnival, and costumes. Didn't sound right, did it? It sounds choppy. It's almost, boys and girls, just a sentence fragment. That sentence doesn't flow. It doesn't sound right. So we had to, when we wrote our correct example in blue, we had to add some words to each topic to make the sentence flow. Brazil has lots of cities, an annual celebration called Carnival, and beautiful traditional costumes. Now, by adding a couple of words to each of our topics, our sentence now flows and sounds right. It sounds more pleasing to the reader. So please remember, you cannot just take your 3 topics and write them in a list. You're going to need to add some words so that the sentence sounds correct. I'm going to go ahead and erase that non-example. All right, boys and girls, so now let's see what comes next. Well, if we look at our key, we have included our hook, our 3 topics, and our closing statement. So, we have included our hook and our 3 topics. What comes next? Our closing statement. So here is where we're going to say something about our topic, something about Brazil, something nice that brings our introduction to a natural sounding finish. How about Brazil is an amazing place to visit. Or I could say, Brazil is an amazing place to learn about. Brazil has so much fascinating information about it. Okay? Just a general sentence about my main topic. So this, boys and girls, right here is a complete introduction paragraph for the Brazil prompt. We have a hook, we have our 3 topics, and we have our closing statement. Not so bad, right? I think we can all do this. All right, should we try one together? Let's do it. Get my papers. All right, can you go ahead, please, and get out your model work together page for lesson 27. It's going to say I paragraph at the top, and then it's going to have the earthquake passage set and the earthquake prompt. Go ahead and get that out now, and we are going to write our introduction paragraph for earthquakes. Now, if you happen to have your previously completed earthquake plan from our last few lessons, go ahead and get that out now. If you don't, that's okay. We're going to go ahead and fill it out now together. I have it in front of me, and you can simply write the plan onto your paper if you don't have your plan handy. So I is going to be earthquakes. I know that because of the prompt. It says write an informative essay to present to your class about earthquakes. So this entire essay is going to be about earthquakes. Earthquakes goes next to I. Earthquakes goes next to C. Now, after we chose what the controlling idea of our whole essay was going to be, then we had to decide on 3 big topics that we had a lot of information to write about from the passage set. So we chose tremors, seismologists, those are the people that study earthquakes, and facts. There was that bulleted list. Go ahead and take a moment. You can copy all of that down. Now for each of these 3 main topics, we also, of course, when we were planning, come up with A and B subtopics. But do those A's and B's go in our introduction? They don't, do they? So go ahead and cross off the A's and B's. Of course, we have them on our completed plan, but when it comes time to write the introduction paragraph, we are not going to include those A's and B's. We are only going to be including this information in our introduction. So we don't want those A's and B's to confuse us. We're going to cross them out. Now, as I write the introduction paragraph for this prompt and passage set, I would like you to write it on your paper as well. I'm going to write in color, you write in pencil. You are always going to write in pencil, and you will self-assess afterwards with a highlighter or marker or colored pencil. But since I am the teacher, I'll write in color so you have a good visual. So I am going to write the hook today in red, just like I did before. The 3 topics in blue. And the closing statement in green. So this is my key, boys and girls, so that when I write, you will know what each color represents. Okay, so let's begin with our hook. So we're going to start with a question, a statement, set the scene. Let's see. How about we start, I think I'm going to start with a question again. You can start with a question, or if you want to come up with your own hook, you can do that as well. All right, so before we begin writing, what do we need to do? Indent. That's right. So let's do 2 finger spaces, and we're going to start indenting right about there where that dot is. I want to show you something. I'm going to show you another non-example. We don't want to start indenting way down here because that's way too much indented space. We don't want to start indenting right here because that's not enough indented space. Someone that's reading our essay might not even think that's indented at all. We want to do about 2 finger spaces, which is about, I don't know, maybe an inch, inch and a half. We want to leave about that much blank space before we begin writing. Okay, so I think I'm going to just start with a very simple question because this is really just the first day that we're practicing introduction paragraphs. How about something like, how much do you really know about earthquakes? Okay, so that's our hook. It's a very simple question hook. Now we move on to our 3 topics. So here we will write our controlling idea, earthquakes, and then the 3 topics, tremors, seismologist, and facts. Now remember, I can't just write those topics in a list because it won't sound right. So I'm going to have to add some words to each of those topics so that my 3-topic sentence flows. I want you boys and girls right now to be very brave, and I want you to try to write your 3-topic sentence all on your own while I write mine on my own. And when we get done, we'll review. Can you do it? I know you can. Let's give it a shot. All right, boys and girls, did you finish? Okay. Thank you so much for making an effort to try to write a 3-topic sentence on your own. This is the hardest part of an introduction. There's lots of different ways to write this sentence, so right now I'm going to share just 2 ways with you. Yours may sound different, and that's okay, as long as it accomplishes its goal. So one way you may have chosen to write this sentence is, there is so much to learn about earthquakes. For example, they are tremors, seismologists study them, and there are so many interesting facts about them. So we have mentioned the controlling idea, which is earthquakes, T1, which is tremors, T2, which is seismologist, and T3, which is facts. Another way you could have written this sentence is you could have said earthquakes are also known as tremors. They are studied by seismologists, and there are many interesting facts about them. So those are just 2 different ways you could have written that sentence. As long as you have earthquakes, tremors, seismologist, and facts in your sentence, and it sounds right, you're good to go. Now, the very last thing that we need to write, if we look on our key is always a great place to go when we are looking for some guidance. The very last sentence we need to write is our closing statement. So we're going to say something about earthquakes now, just a general statement. Let's see. Okay, I've got a couple of ideas. I'm going to come up with a closing statement, you come up with a closing statement, and then we'll review. Okay, did you finish? Okay, so my closing statement is earthquakes are very powerful. I could have said earthquakes are fascinating. Earthquakes aren't as scary once you learn more about them. What did you come up with? As long as you ended with a general statement about earthquakes, you're on the right track. All right, boys and girls, so we have finished our introduction, but we are not ready to turn in our paragraph yet because we have to go back and reread it. So this is a problem that I have that you may have experienced as well. I have something called the fast brain problem. My brain works faster than my hand. So sometimes when I'm writing, I'm thinking all these thoughts and all these words, and my hand just can't keep up. And what happens is I leave out a word, or I leave out the ending to a word, or I leave out some letters when I'm spelling a word. And those mistakes make it really hard for someone to read and understand my writing. Sometimes I leave out punctuation marks, which makes it really hard for my reader. So every time I finish a paragraph, I always go back and reread it and see if I can catch some of those fast brain mistakes. So I'm going to reread mine and see what I can find. How much do you really know about earthquakes? There is so much to learn about earthquakes. For example, they are tremors. Seismologists study them, and there are so many interesting facts about them. That sounded a little weird to me, so I think I'm going to write, for example, they are also called tremors. I think that makes it a little more clear for my reader. So I'm going to add those words above this sentence and draw an arrow or a caret where I want them to go. I forgot to dot some of my I's, so I'm going to fix those. Okay, now let me read my closing statement. Earthquakes are very powerful! Exclamation point. I think that's the proper punctuation. Excellent. So I'm so glad I went back and reread that. I had to fix my question mark, dot some I's, add a couple of words. That really quick edit, boys and girls, made my writing much more clear for my reader. So it was time well spent. Take just a moment, go back and read your paragraph and fix any fast brain mistakes that you may have. All right, thank you boys and girls so much for making that effort to clean up your writing. Now you have an opportunity to write all on your own introduction paragraph. This is such an exciting time, boys and girls. You're gonna write your own paragraph all on your own. Please take out the guided practice page for lesson 27. That looks like this. I'm gonna show you in the document camera because I know it's a little hard to see. It says guided practice in the top left corner, lesson 27 in the right corner, I paragraph, and it's all about tigers. For this activity, you are going to transfer your tigers plan onto this page. Remember we read about plan for tigers the other day? Transfer your plan here, or if you don't have your plan, no problem at all. You're going to read your tigers passage set, plan for this prompt, and then we are all going to write our introduction paragraph for the tigers prompt and passage set. I know you all can do this. You are becoming experts at those introduction paragraphs. It should take you about 10 minutes or so to write your I paragraph. If you need to read and plan, it'll take you some additional time. Please pause this lesson now, complete this activity, and when you're ready to review, hit play. Welcome back, boys and girls. How'd it go? Was it good? All right, let's do a quick self-assessment. You're going to need 3 different color highlighters. If you don't have highlighters, grab markers, colored pencils, crayons, anything like that. Select your first color. On my screen, I have my hook in yellow. You can use yellow or you can use any other color. Please highlight or underline your hook in your first color. Awesome. Pick another color. So on my screen, I have green as my second color. You can use green, or you can pick any other color that you would like. Highlight, and this is a mistake, boys and girls, it should say 3 topics. Please highlight your 3 topic sentence in green now, or in your second color now. Excellent. Now pick a third color. I have blue, you can pick any color you want, and you're going to highlight or underline your closing statement in your third color. Excellent job. Now that we have color-coded our introduction paragraph, we have our hook in one color, we have our 3 topics in the second color, we have our closing statement in a third color. Now we're going to reflect upon our paragraph. So ask yourself, what did I do well? Did you write a great hook? Did you write a 3-topic sentence that made sense? Did you end with a fabulous closing statement? Then ask yourself, what did I forget? You should have 3 colors in your paragraph. If you only have 1 or 2, that's a really good sign that you have forgotten something. So what part of your I paragraph did you forget? Last, ask yourself, what can I do better? So all writers can always improve their craft. I don't care if you are the #1 New York Times bestselling author in America. You can always go back to your writing and find something to improve. So what can you do better? Could you write a more clear 3-topic sentence? Could you write a stronger closing statement or a more interesting hook? Go ahead and find something that you think you can improve upon the next time you write introductions. Awesome. So we have self-assessed our introduction, reflected upon it. Now it's time to revise our work. You are going to have 4 minutes to revise your introduction. So starting at the top, if you discovered you forgot something in your introduction paragraph, now you're going to add it. If you made a mistake, you'll fix it. After you've added what needs to be added and fixed what needs to be fixed, then you're going to check your conventions. See if you have any fast brain problems. Did you capitalize the first word in every sentence? Did you capitalize those proper nouns? Do you have punctuation where you want it, the right punctuation? Did you spell words phonetically or copy them if they were in the passage set? Is your writing clear? Does it make sense? You might even want to whisper read your paragraph out loud to yourself. Sometimes whisper reading reveals our mistakes. If you finish all 3 of those before time is up, then find something to make better. Find a basic word and change it to a more advanced or sophisticated word. Add a detail or some description words. Make something more interesting or more specific. Please spend about 4 minutes revising your introduction paragraph to make it the best it can be, and then you will turn it in to either your parent or your teacher, to the adult in your life, so they can see what you're able to do. Before I leave you, boys and girls, I have a quote to share. Today, our quote is, "It's okay to not know. It's not okay to not try." So it's okay if you tried today and you made all kinds of mistakes and forgot all kinds of things. That's okay. I am still so incredibly proud of you. As long as you tried, you're learning. Excellent work today, boys and girls. Enjoy your revisions, turn in those introduction paragraphs, and I'll see you next time.